Hi everyone. Today we have my friend Lonnie here with us today. She is someone that I've been following for a very long time on social media. I love watching her living her best life with her little two girls, who's not so little
Mhm.
anymore, but also owning a Montessori inspired school in Brooklyn, right, Lonnie?
We're in Ridgewood, Queens, on the border of
Oh,
Bushwick. Yeah, so they call
Queens.
it Bush Ridge, the neighborhood.
Very interesting. And here we have with her today, sharing her story of how she got started. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, my name is Lonnie, and I'm a mother, as Yobe was saying, of a 12-year-old and 9-year-old, two girls. And I have been the owner of wBees Forest School. We are a nature-based Montessori school in Ridgewood, Queens, and we have been in some form or iteration operating out of Brooklyn and Queens for the last 10 years. But we've found our
Oh,
forever home in Ridgewood for the last 5 years. And it really has been a passion project that came out of a need for my own kids and is something that thankfully resonates with a lot of families in our area. So
can
I'm
you
happy to share
tell
about it.
tell us a little bit about this passion project that you're talking about? How did you get started with it? Did
Mhm.
you study early childhood? I think you said that you were teaching English as a second language.
I was a high school English teacher in the New York City DOE for 8 years, and then
Hmm.
I taught at a charter organization in San Francisco for three, and then I was an ed consultant when I was
Wow.
pregnant and having my girls. So in education for over 12 years, and always saw myself returning to the classroom as soon as I have my children. I was like, that's my first passion. And then I became a mom of a young girl, and when she was turning 2, I was looking at schools in the neighborhood
Mm.
and I was looking for part-time, arts rich, a lot of nature oriented opportunities in Brooklyn. We're like, in a very concrete jungle. And I wasn't really finding it. So
Mm.
me and a few other moms got together and we kind of created this mission of a school that we wanted. We're like, what do we dream? What do we wish for? And it was like very arts rich, part-time, a lot of parent involvement in community. And we presented it to our friends. We had a meeting with like 20 other families. And by the end of the meeting, we had 24 families that were like, we're signing on. Like, what if you can build this, we're gonna be with you. And so since I had the education background, I was the one that did the hiring of the teachers, the curriculum building. And that first year, we had 24 families in 4 different locations out of our living rooms, out of church basements,
Wow.
and the parents were the teacher assistants. And that was kind of the start and the precipice of wBees. And then from there, it kind of each year it changed and grew out of a need for my own daughter,
Hmm.
who was in her year 3, she was just like very nervous around grass and sand and flowers. She
Hmm.
was even scared of. And so I was like, okay, we need to get these city children into nature. What do we do? And so that's kind of how the forest school aspect came about. And I hired a teacher and we did all outdoor learning. And we would take our kids like on strollers or strap them into our carriers and like
Hmm.
jump on public buses, go to Prospect Park, go to
Oh my
East River Park,
gosh.
go to Central Park even, and the Brooklyn Botanic Garden. I established a relationship with a local community garden. And so it was all outdoor learning. And then the following year, I wanted a classroom, and each year it's grown and changed and just kind of evolved based on something that I felt there was a need for. And then thankfully, other parents also feel very strongly connected to the mission. So yeah, now we have wBees in Ridgewood. There are 3 classrooms. We have 15 teachers. We have a strong extended day program that's growing as well. And it's just been like a really evolving, beautiful thing. Yeah. And my girls
I
recently went back and they were like, Mommy, I'm so happy to be back. I remember coming to wBees.
It's so beautiful, but I have like so many questions because this is a very atypical journey that I'm hearing from other ladies who start. Usually we
Okay.
find a location and then we build the classroom inside and kind of follow up a curriculum. You
Uh-huh.
are just kind of like, let's talk to other, and then they talk to other investors sometimes, maybe kind of friends and family for some money. But here you are reaching out to other families, really figuring out what they want, what they need, and how you can build something
Mhm.
different. And you always wanted that nature kind of
Hmm.
philosophy and that environment for. Can you tell us what drove you, other than like your daughter being like very
Yeah, I would
anti-outdoor?
say, yeah, so I would say the nature-based and the Montessori kind of like they're both philosophies that are married and
Hmm.
very much a part of wBees. And what I have seen, with young children, if you allow them to be immersed in the outdoors like all year long, and you allow them to actually get dirty and they can climb, they can learn
Hmm.
the boundaries of their own body, and where teachers aren't helping them climb trees or helping them climb boulders. You teach them how to play with rocks and sticks safely, that they have a lot of freedom, but within limits, that this is they really gain a lot of confidence in their body and feel
Mm.
connected to nature and the wider community, and then they can kind of see their place in the world. We're looking to grow like environmental stewards, really somebody who young children that care and feel like they can do more for the world and their community in the future one day. So it's a lot about seeing who the child is now as a 2-year-old, 3-year-old, 4-year-old, but also thinking about who they are going to one day become down the
Mm.
long road. And then the Montessori piece, really, that also was an experience that I had as I came to Montessori as a parent first and an educator second. So my daughter at the years of 4 and 5, she did go to a Montessori school that was also in Williamsburg called Carrick Montessori, a really lovely program. And she grew from like a very kind of introverted, like nervous child to one that's like
Mm.
a leader. And then I saw her outside really kind of loving bugs, not digging into the dirt and really just getting those sensory experiences, getting those kind of vestibular and gross motor movements. So between the Montessori kind of framework of helping children become as independent as possible in a mixed age classroom, married with the forest school aspect. That's how we came to have wBees, which we do believe is a really kind of like unique program and a special place that when parents and teachers step
Hmm.
into it, they feel that there is something like magical about the place. And you're right, our journey is different. It's not like
Right.
other educators who had to get a loan or whatnot. I mean, my programs literally were built from me getting $1,000 from a week-long camp, and then it growing to $5,000 from a semester-long outdoor programming that grew to $30,000 that I used to put down as a deposit to build a
Hmm.
space. And so everything has been kind of through like the sweat and blood and like vision of what we
Yeah.
knew it could be. Yeah.
Yeah. It
And
sounds
also
so
luck. I would say like perseverance, luck, and vision like has helped us shape who we are.
it sounds so beautiful, but people can't see the sweat and the blood that came before this beautiful door that has opened. Tell us about the challenges that you face and tell us about the process of getting it open with permitting, finding the
Hmm.
space that kind of
Yeah.
it's what you envisioned. You said that in the beginning you found your permanent home for your program.
Yeah.
How did
Hmm.
that come about?
Yeah, so it was me honestly like looking on like LoopNet and looking on Craigslist and talking. And in the meantime, like kind of just being open to this possibility. Like if I need to find a space that has a certificate of occupancy for education, which as we know is not easy to come by. And then like one day I just found something on Craigslist where they showed a few pictures and it was a very unattractive space. It was like bright lime green, like bright blue and crazy, things all over, but it was being let out by the landlord and it wasn't being sold. And so I was like, okay, this is interesting. So I reached out and I went to go see the space and immediately saw the potential for it.
Hmm.
And and so that came about as far as an opportunity for the space, but as far as how to like build a school and come do the permitting and like learn about creating staff handbooks and
Right.
doing safety plans and all of that, it honestly came with me forming connections with other school owners and other directors earlier on, and always kind of just building that network of how do we help each other, like especially like young, not young, but I would say like female entrepreneurs that are in education that have a vision for something that they want to build in community where it doesn't exist. So I was in contact with Brooklyn Heights Montessori. I met with them, they let me observe, they gave me like teacher handbooks and just a lot of resources, and we're really like it was like quite a mentorship role that the director of the preschool program had there. I reached out to Bushwick Montessori, which was no longer in existence, but they really let me also observe and learn and grow. And I, in turn, have And then I also reached out to Supermoon. They were a new
Hmm.
preschool in Ridgewood that opened up just like 6 months before we did, or maybe not 6 months, like less than that, like 3, 4 months. And at first there was this relationship like, oh, are we kind of competition? Or
Right,
we're like
right.
we're within 6 blocks of each other, opening within less than a year. But we were both, Megan, she's amazing. And we were both just like, there are enough families for everybody. We just have to
Right,
figure out like there's enough in this space. We just need to know and be true to our own vision of who we are.
right.
And so we would share resources, we would help each other and share contacts for like who can do the fire alarm system. And so I think that people get scared about asking for help. They act like
Hmm.
they know everything, and then it's really hard. I think that if I think people actually want to help each other. So it
Hmm.
really is like, how do we build that community? And I, in turn, like have done the same for some other folks, And so that's really how it came about. And then luck also. I mean, um, with that, the May of us opening, so we were slated to open in September. And that May, we found out that Bushwick Montessori, the owner, was letting go of the space and was
Oh,
closing down. So we ended up getting a lot of their families and
right.
then also hiring some of their teachers, and so we were the only two Montessori schools like within
Wow.
2 mile radius of each other. And
Wow.
yeah, it was like a boon from the universe. And we were happy to be able to kind of like help absorb them and help
Hmm.
continue the program, but then also build what is wBees, because we are a very different school than what
Hmm.
they were at the time. Yeah.
And from what I've been following you, you are really big on supporting your team, giving them more
Hmm.
resources, not being frugal and not cutting corners with things like that.
Yeah.
And you always just seem to have this very positive energy around even the most difficult times. Tell us about how you have to overcome all the obstacles around like
Hmm.
COVID time, even opening, building
Yeah.
that team. What was that like for you?
Absolutely. I do feel maybe because I had my own experience in the classroom for so long, and I worked under many different types of leadership models and principles where some would like make us cry and they would use
Oh.
fear, and then others that were really inspiring and were looking to grow teacher leaders. I
Hmm.
My biggest goal is to create a learning environment that where the teachers feel really good about
Hmm.
coming into work and feel that their voice is heard, and then us, which in turn creates a safe space for parents to drop off their children. So for me, I'm not in the classroom anymore, so my kind of classroom is my teachers. So it is about creating an environment that taps into the fullest potential of my adult learners, which then transfers to and models for the children learners. And because I have such a strong team where a lot of us have returned year after year and really
Yeah.
are so philosophically aligned with our mission, and we do a lot of like mission orienting, like all the time. It's a living and breathing kind of like manifesto that we work on
Right.
year to
Right.
year. And so yeah, we've had challenges. COVID for sure was so big because we were just trying to stay safe. We were just trying to
Hmm.
like survive, and then it was like, how do we not just survive, but like have to thrive really? And that was a challenge. And from the first year to the second year of COVID, there was like a lot of kind of like introspection. Like, how do we go from closing the door on the parents to opening and bringing them in as
Right.
partners? And then last year we were part of the Department of Ed, the 3K program, which we
Hmm.
were really excited to help make a Montessori program financially accessible to families. But then we had non-payment issues, delayed
Right.
payment issues that really threatened our stability as a school. And so and since then we have like we've relinquished that contract and returned back to private, which is a really challenging pivot for any school,
Yeah, I don't think I know anyone who did that. And then you went on to get a crowdfunding campaign and people
Mhm.
came through. I was like, oh my God, I've never seen a school do something like this. You have parents call the Department of Education and
Mhm.
State for you, and people were rallying for your program. For and you don't have a chain program that has like 25
Mhm.
schools around like New York
Right.
City that people really know about. It's not like your one
Yeah,
wBees
we're
for
just
school.
one. Like,
And
yeah, I'm
people
the
were
only
just like,
owner.
and
Yeah.
people are just like coming through to support that. What was that decision like? How was like that? It's very telling of what you've built.
It was definitely very challenging. And there was definitely like trust that had to
Mm-hmm.
kind of like get rebuilt, And it started, I think, with transparency with our teaching staff first. Like, this is the reality. This is what we're doing.
Mm,
What we have here is worth saving. And we have to kind of really do everything we can to make sure that this program lives and breathes beyond the contract. And so it was coming up with a plan and then being transparent with the parents and letting them know where we were with the contract, with the payment, and then
mm-hmm.
kind of engaging them as advocates for us. So then honestly, the parents were amazing. They had a lot more connections and a lot of ideas. They were like, we have to
Right,
reach these council people. We have to get on the
right.
news. I know, this reporter from this, I was interviewed and I was in the New York Times, and then it was also reaching out to other directors who were under the same boat.
Right.
You created the Facebook group for the DOE 3K
Mm-hmm.
and 4K providers, and it was really just and kind of a call to arms, like, not, yes, I am just one small school, and we are like just one minority owned program, but this is something that was being perpetrated across the board to a lot of, to everybody really. So it was just people came through, but we also, like, I just saw the writing on the wall that if we continued with the program, I would have lost teachers because everyone needs
Mm,
stability for their
right,
life.
right.
And I had at that point already taken out a line of credit for 200,000, had already put in over 150,000 of, my own personal family's money. And I can't be in
Yeah,
that
like how
place.
long are you gonna wait to get paid? I've
Yeah.
seen a lot of programs that had to shut down, seen a lot of programs who had to bring in their own money. And I really love that you brought up the financial part of it too, because I see how you've been running your program over the years, and you're so big on like pay your teachers, pay your teachers, pay your staff.
Yeah.
And then we do have I do know a lot of people who say they just can't afford it. And the
Yeah.
early childhood pay scale is very low for most
Hmm.
teaching assistants, but you always will go a little bit above and beyond the average pay scale from what I understand. How
Yeah.
do you determine to do something like that and eat into your profits? And because it comes down to, I can imagine you making a lot of money. I hope I'm wrong, but
Yeah.
because
I
you're so big on like making sure your team is taken care of. And I
Mhm.
and I actually said that to her privately once. I said, Lanny, are you making money because you're so good on paying everyone, making sure they're taken care of? Do you mind sharing a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to. I was part of the Montessori administrative program in West Side Montessori, and they said that if your revenue isn't for your teacher salaries isn't 75%, then you're doing something wrong. Then you're basically like you're taking a lot on top and really putting it on top of the teachers.
Mm,
And I was like looking at my numbers. I'm like, yeah, we're about at 75%, maybe a little bit more even. And for me, I just think you have to pay your teachers well. You have to provide them the benefits, like 401k stability. For a one owner school, we have 401k, we have health benefits,
yeah,
we have
yeah,
vision, we have dental, we have all of these things, because without it, your staff can't feel stable and secure to grow and to stay with you, and they will look elsewhere. And so for me, I'm like, what's the best way to serve my parent community? It's to have the absolute best teachers possible, and I invest in my teachers training. Like, I have had many teachers get their Montessori training through
mhm,
with us, where we invest part of the money towards their education. And it's an investment that pays off in dividends. Without it, I would be scrambling each year, or having teachers leave
right,
mid-year, and really um, having to struggle and just work so hard for something that is not going to work. It's just not sustainable. There are lots of owners and lots of directors that question themselves, like, how do I continue on?
right.
So I have to create a tuition scale that allows for us to be able to have the program that we have. And it is and we have and without that kind of tuition, the tuition is essentially, it's justified because of the quality of our program. So you
Hmm.
have to create a program that commands this and then also gives the parents, the community, the parent education, the community opportunities, and all of the touch points with our teachers so that everything makes sense, you know, and so that it's worth it. You have to know your own worth, and at the same time,
Right.
like build the program that parents will commit to and pay for and come back to and send their
I
younger children to
love
also.
it. I love it. And I really do believe that if you're going to do this, you have to try to do it really, really well. And coming from
Mhm.
someone without the business background, how did you learn all of this? What are some things what are your biggest takeaway? And what are some things that you share with someone else without business background, but maybe have education or
Mhm.
in business and don't have education? Can they still do this?
Right. It's interesting. You know, I come from a family of entrepreneurs. Like my dad is like, he was someone that was like a taxi driver, and then he got his own medallion. Then he got like, like multiple cars. That was like his own fleet. And then he had a
Wow.
factory. And then opened a spa. And so we kind of feel like we have this, my sister owns her own, like med spa. And we have this entrepreneurial spirit. I did do advertising for a little bit as an adult. You know, I left teaching at one point and I did do that. And I feel like those kinds of experiences have helped inform me as far as like messaging and really like selling your vision to folks, you know, like how to tell your story in a way that's
Mhm.
compelling. You know, that's really, I think, if you build it and if you can tell someone your story, like they will come. That's how I see it, you know. And then as far as the business acumen of it, I would say talking to other director owners and learning in that way. And just kind of my husband, even though he's not his own business owner, you know, he's in the startup world and like has a lot of knowledge about, finances and things like that. So it's really just like reaching out to your community for the parts that you aren't strong at, and then hiring folks for I outsource like I have my bookkeeper. I have had folks that were like much stronger in kind of the finer details of things, and just knowing like I don't have to do everything. Like I can't scale
Mhm.
myself. If I do everything, this it something would fall apart. But it's having a really strong team where
Mhm.
everybody has their skill set, and together we are an incredibly strong team is what I would
I
say.
love that you brought up the word scale. What is the next step for you?
You know, it's interesting. I would say before the pandemic, I was all about growing my program into
Mhm.
multiple locations. You know, I actually was like about to sign the lease and like really move forward with the location in Brooklyn Heights that was like on the
Mhm.
water and that was beautiful. And then the whole city got shut down,
Mhm.
and then so I withdrew from that program. I mean, with that contract. And since then, I would say my priorities have shifted. It's about really building this one program to be as amazing, as strong as possible,
Wow.
and really helping my teachers be as happy and my parents be as just like we all feel so lucky to be together. And
Wow.
then also just having my life with my children, and how to balance my personal life and kind of just my love of I'm like the grasshopper, like I like love to travel. I really like I just want to enjoy this life that is in front of me. And so I'm happy. This is more than enough, and I feel really fulfilled with and it's a lot of work.
It's
I
so
don't want
much
to
work.
offload. Yeah, I'm
It's
not
so
looking to
much work.
offload this to a director and then like get another location and offload that to a director. I've always kind of I like small programs. I don't need to grow and expand in that way. Yeah.
It's very, very interesting. I love that you shared this because I was much younger when I started, when I didn't have children, and I was just growing, growing, growing. I want one more, I
Mm-hmm.
want one more, I want one more, I want more, more, more. And
Mm-hmm.
then I burned myself out to a point where I got really, really sick, only to learn that
Oh.
I got to get rid of all of them because you
Mm-hmm.
just want more freedom and happiness and exactly what
Mm-hmm.
you have now. But what you
Mm-hmm.
have now is hard for a lot of people to know or learn that that's what they
Mm-hmm.
want. Like coming to a realization of this is truly small is okay, small
Yeah.
may be good, and small I
Mm-hmm.
can be happy with small. It's a journey that someone have to come to, and I love that you're sharing
Yeah.
that. So beautiful. Well, thank you so much for chatting
Yeah.
with us. If there's anything you want to share with us before we go, we'll love to have you
Yeah, I'm
share.
just happy to be able to share my story. And I know everyone kind of has their own path to their journey, and I think just having a strong vision of like understanding who you are, your own worth, and like where you want to be, and kind of manifesting that, and then not being afraid of the hard work and not being afraid of asking for help.
Right,
All
right.
those things will help you kind of get to your goal. Yeah. Well, thank you. It was really fun chatting with you.
Thank
And
you
I'm
so
always a
much.
big fan of your work.
Aw,
You honestly amaze me, like with all the things that you do.
thank
And
you. You've been so kind. You've been so kind to me and everyone that I've seen you interact with online. And then I follow all of the stuff that you do because one day I want to become like you. I want to travel the world with my kids. I want to go to shows and still have a great business there that I feel really, really proud of. Well, thank you everyone for listening. We'll be back next week.